Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our launch event today. As this is not a webinar, we will not be having any Q&A sessions towards the end. However, we will be hosting one-to-one sessions for you to clarify any details or discuss things further down with the team. Kindly wait till the end for more details. And we now begin.
Welcome to today's wonderful launch event, wherein we are going to introduce our new audio ecosystem, which is where we are basically completing the audio chain, which includes not only the inputs, new microphones, new processing, and new outputs as well. So we'll talk more about that in detail soon. But before I begin, I just wanted to highlight or emphasize a few things. As you can see that I am doing this session from my home office. And this is my home broadband connection. So I'm hoping that whatever experience that I'm trying to give you virtually is going to come to you as expected. And as Chico mentioned, you will soon be able to have quick one-on-one sessions after this session, after this launch, which will be more detailed. Today is what I'm going to cover is the overall picture of what this ecosystem comprises of and what the experience can be. Cool. So let's move ahead about understand what have been the recent innovations about audio in AV conferencing in the Shure world, right? So as you all know, within AV conferencing, we began with one of our first array microphone solutions, which was the MXA 910, which came out to be the best in class for ceiling array microphones in the video conferencing world, right? So with that, we also brought in the processing, which was required for multiple channels or to cover a large space using multiple channels using the array microphones. That processing we brought into a dedicated hardware called as the IntelliMix P300, which came in 2018, right? So that became the kind of standard for having good audio quality in AV conferencing environments. Now, with the success of the IntelliMix, and how we are seeing the trend of conferencing going forward, or video conferencing or collaboration going forward. This is something that we did a study recently where we see that a lot of soft codecs are picking up pace or are being more popular in this region. You would see more popular names like Zoom, Teams, even Cisco WebEx, BlueJeans. This is the shift that we are seeing, that traditional hard codecs, which are basically clubbing together all the hardware, is basically the same capability is being achieved by soft codecs as well, right? All that is needed is the right hardware to give all the audio and video inputs to be able to give the right experience, right? So what did we do to keep pace with this particular change or the shift of adoption of technology that we are seeing? So this year at ISE we brought in IntelliMix Room, which is basically same IntelliMix P300 processing algorithm or a DSP which you can install on a PC, which is also hosting the software codec like Zoom, BlueJeans, Teams, any of those. So let's look at what is the IntelliMix Room. Like I said, it is basically a software DSP which can be installed on a PC, and it co-resides with the soft codecs like BlueJeans, Teams, Zoom, or WebEx. It does not hamper the user workflow. It just sits in the backend and lets the codec understand that I have this as my audio input and output, and then it can just pass on audio to that, just as the way you do it with a headphone or any other USB interface. So and that was the software integration part, right? You you'll see that the Intel Mix Room has also been designed to work along with the hardware that has been designed to make this PC-based or soft-codec-based environment work, right? So we have taken care of the software patching on the soft-codec part, but also interfacing it with the hardware that is going to host both these software, whether it's soft-codec or the Intel Mix Room DSP. So whether it is a Crestron device, a Logitech device, a Lenovo device, or even a normal PC, right? That's something that I'm using right now. I have joined this session using an Intel NUC. And that's how simple it is to be able to put your AV together. And Intel Mix Room has been designed considering these factors, right? And this is just basically an example of how my setup is right now. So basically, I have the Intel NUC, which is right now running the Intel Mix Room along with. Actually, I have all these three softwares installed on this PC. So right now I'm using one of them, which is BlueJeans, which is enabling the Intel NUC to, the Intel Mix Room is enabling the Intel NUC to be Dante enabled. And also the Intel Mix Room can understand what are the different hardware interfaces that this PC has to be able to connect with the hardware peripherals, whether it is the TV, whether it is a USB output device, or even using the TRRS or the 3.5 mm port. Okay, so the next innovation this year we brought in is a new form factor of array microphones, right? Which is again a new way of looking at how microphones can enable better conferencing experience in a meeting room. So we already know that we have the current form factors which were designed to be on the table or on the ceiling. So the table version was the MXA310 and the ceiling version was the MXA910, right? And these two were basically designed for the surfaces which are very common. You put it on a table or you have the ceiling, whether it is a false ceiling, a grid ceiling, or even exposed ceilings as well. So both these products were designed to cater to all these environments. But sometimes when we got inputs that what if we do not have both these surfaces available, or we do not want to use these surfaces, and we do not want clutter. So that's where we felt that we need to have a different form factor of microphone, which can go on a wall, right? So that's where we brought in the linear array microphone, which we call as the MXA710. Right? So we'll look at what are the different form factors of this linear array microphones and how they gel into this AV conferencing environment in a different or a better way, right? So these are some pictures. This is one of the pictures wherein the linear array microphone can be placed not on the table, not on the ceiling, but you have the option of placing a microphone on the wall as well. But is it just one orientation? No, it is. There are multiple orientations. You can place the microphone. The one that you saw was one version which is horizontal. The one that you're seeing right now is a vertical version and a different type, right? So this is just a couple of examples of how the new linear array microphone can be used. And the type of form factors are two. We have a 2 feet version, which is the MXA710 2 feet, and there is a 4 feet version in terms of the sizes. And in terms of colors, just as the MXA910 ceiling array, you have the same color options, whether it is white, black, and aluminum. Right. So I did mention that you have a new surface where you can place a microphone and make it look very nice. But that does not limit the 710s to be placed only on the wall. You can still place them on the table or the ceiling as well. So let's look at some more features in detail about these. So like I said, like the MXA family, we're continuing the MXA family line. So this the 710 linear array also supports Dante. It supports AE67. It is PoE powered, so it's single cable network cable going into the microphone, powering the mic, sending audio, and even the control signals as well. It supports Shure Audio Encryption, so the audio going within the Shure ecosystem is encrypted even if it is on the network. And it is centrally controlled and manageable using the Shure softwares. So designer is the one which is going forward going to allow you to design an audio, design audio using Shure network products in a meeting room environment. Also, using Shure System On, you can manage these products remotely, whether it is checking whether it's the hardware status or any kind of remote management that you want to do. So for that, the network-based products are now going to be supported with the software tools as well. Looking at the coverage, so again, the bloodline comes from the MXA 910. So it also follows the 710 also follows the steerable coverage technology, the autofocus technology, wherein it is automatically able to detect where the person is and then adjust the lobes accordingly. And it has the default coverage templates, auto mixing. Basically, the soft features that the MXA 910 had in terms of processing. All of that comes to the MXA 710 as well. Some more examples of what options you can have to mount the microphones. So the one on the left is a ceiling hanging version, and on the right is the vertical mount beside the display. Let me just quickly slides. Some examples are these are the accessories that you're going to see, which allow you to mount the microphones in different ways. The accessories come separately, but you have a whole lot of options to be able to use the microphones in different kind of environments, whether it is horizontally placed, whether it is placed on a wall, beside the display, under the display. Even there are many options to place these microphones, and even the cable routing has been considered well, so that the cable runs out of the unit in a very neat fashion, and allows the mounting also to be flushed. The 710s also support the table stand in case if you want to place it on a credenza at the front end of the room. So there is a table mount option. You have the mounts to fix it flushed on the ceiling. You also have other mounting options wherein you can place it on a table. So if you want the 710s or the linear array microphones to be flushed, mounted on the tables, this is the table mount which you can use, which has been designed to allow the cabling, but at the same time have the microphone securely placed on the table as well. And yes, it does support a mic stand too. So if for some situations wherein you have a quick requirement of placing a linear array microphone and you don't want anything on the table, you don't have access to the ceiling or any other surface immediately, you can have the table mount also in use for this kind of purpose. Using the Visa mounts, again available readily on the 710. You can place it under the display, above the display, or like I said, beside the screen. For certain situations, one microphone would be enough, but you may have an option of going for a dummy microphone just to match the aesthetics of that room and replicate the same figure on the other side of the screen, just to make it symmetrically look alike. Some examples of how it would be looking with the string attached, hanging from the ceiling. And this is a flush on the wall look. Once it is fully done, this is a 2 feet version, and you have you also have a version wherein you can see that it is mounted on the table, right? So these are some of the examples of how the microphone will look. You can also see that the LED indication which the MXA 910 had, that LED indication is also available on the 2 sides, at the 2 edges of this 710. So the mute unmute is also indicated visibly on the microphones wherever they are placed, and they are configurable colors. Like I said, the same theme from the 910 has been followed to be able to follow those different LED colors as well. If you want to cover the table mount option to look to look better, so there is an optional cloth cover accessory available to make it look the way it is seen on the screen. The 710s, just like the other network array network products, will be covered by or will be programmed by the designer. You will be manage the installation, manage the configuration of the product using the designer. That's where when you add a 710, so it's a new form factor. So the software needs to be told how it is going to be mounted, whether it is horizontal, vertical. So that's where the software gives you options that, okay, this, if you mount it like this is how the coverage would be. And the coverage is shown, this is an example of a 4 feet version showing how the coverage would be in a horizontal version. If you have a 2 feet, that also is seen. There is also a vertical mount. So for vertical, how that coverage would be is also something that is newly introduced in the designer software, that you can easily see that how the microphone is basically covering that space. It basically, if you can imagine, it looks like an orange orange slice. When it comes to a vertical installation of the 2 feet microphone or the 4 feet. So these are some of the examples that you can use the designer to plan how the microphone has to be placed and how the coverage would be even before the space is ready, or even before the site is available. You can plan all this in designer, import the drawings, place the microphone, place wherever you want, and then it can tell you that, okay, if you place it here, this is how the coverage would be, this is how it would sound best. And if you want, you can remove some of the channels or lobes, and then you can tell that, okay, we restrict it only to this area. So that kind of pre-planning can be done in the offline mode and in the live mode as well. Okay, so like the 910, as it got this feature introduced last year, the 710 also now has the built-in IntelliMix feature for spaces wherein you may not need an external DSP. The 710 can process audio on its own. So when it comes to basically doing a PEQ setting, you want to equalize, you want to have acoustic echo cancellations, all that is still doable for certain spaces by just with the microphone, and you would not need an external DSP of any kind. So I wanted to basically now give you a feel of what my setup was before. So I told you that my setup had a PC, which is an Intel NUC running an IMX room. But actually, you have been hearing me all this while using I'm using the MXA 710 right now, and it is live, it is connected, and I have one in the front, which is a 2 feet, which is right underneath the camera, and I have another one, which is a 4 feet, which is beside me to my right. I've used some mechanism to mount it to show how it can be horizontally mounted, so this can go all the way to the wall. But yeah, they both are online right now, and that's how. And I'm basically doing all this just with the Intel NUC. Like I mentioned before, the BlueJeans running on it. I'm just using the PoE switch to power the microphones, and all the audio is being passed through over Dante to this software running on this NUC, and then that's how you're able to hear. That's how you're able to hear me, right? So that's basically the job of the IntelliMix room. So you have the 2 feet and the 4 feet. They both are capturing me at the moment, and this is how it can result. So moving on with from the microphone segment, let's look at what are we bringing in again further. So this year again, I'm happy to announce the new network ceiling microphone, which we call as the MXN5WC, which is basically a network ceiling microphone, white colored one. And that's what is basically that you see above me on the ceiling. Once I set this up during the calls, this is how I'm getting the audio through. So you saw the microphone, you saw the processor, and then you have the network loudspeaker. So again, coming from the Shure house, It supports all the network capabilities that the microphones used to support. It is Dante. It is PoE powered. It supports Dante. It supports AS7. It is configurable using the designer software tool, and it is manageable using the system on asset management. Some more important areas I should cover is that the driver size. So some of you would be interested. Is there's a 5.2-inch driver, and there is a dispersion angle of 100 degrees for this. So it is specifically designed for AV conferencing environments, or I would say speech environment. It is designed to basically blend nicely in drop ceiling environments. So you have a cover which you can remove, and then you can, maybe if you want to change to a different color, you can paint that up as well. It is plenum rated, which means it has been tested for fire situations. So that way it has the UL 2043 plenum rating as well. And there is a tile bridge accessory also available for quick mounting, so that there is some support available to mount the ceiling speaker. So just to give an example, I'm sure that a lot of you would have questions as to kind of spaces the speaker can go in. So there's some examples, all the way from a 15-seater meeting space, which can have a 9-10, let's say, on the ceiling, and you can have a couple of speakers. They all go to the Dante network, and that's how you can have a complete network-based audio. The processing can still be a P300 or an Intel MX room. So everything audio comes on the network and gets processed by one single software tool. That's one example. Even if it's a larger space, maybe around 20-seater space, you can have a couple of 910s and the ceiling speakers distributed for a better, more controlled speech or a more granular speech control. And even for larger spaces, you can consider having distributed arrangements. So having control over Dante, having one single control, having control over, having knowledge about how the mixing should happen, it kind of gives you the complete capability to manage audio with very less programming experience. You don't need to understand a whole bunch of detailed acoustics. Just as the way the products have been designed, it kind of makes it very plug and play for you to deploy good, professional quality audio in any conference room environment. So these were the kind of primary audio products, the inputs, processing, and outputs. But since we also have placed the microphones away from the users, considering the conventional approach, you don't have a way to interface with the mic. And why would you want to interface with the mic in a conference room? The most common way is to be able to mute it quickly or unmute it quickly to be able to interact with the audience, right? So that's what we thought about, that now we have put the microphone away from the people, but what if the people want to interact with the microphone immediately? So we brought in the MXA NMB, which is the network mute button, which is a very sleek product designed to have this interaction in place with the microphone to be able to and take a very small footprint on the table. So this is something which is a network-based product, which can go on the same switch as the other network products, powered over PoE. And yes, it does control. It basically, the logic that we have built in across the Shure ecosystem, all the products, whether it is the MXA microphones, the P300, the Intel MX room, the mute button, they all understand the logic that we have built. There is a logic sync. Once they all come on the network, the designer sees them, can simply patch not only audio but also logic between these devices. So when I press this, I have the mute button actually placed here. I hope you were able to see that. And this is something that how I am able to control the mute function. So just to give you a quick example, I'm going to mute now. So you saw the red LED around it, and now I've muted, and now it's turned green. So this is basically the mute button, again powered over the network, can be installed on any table surface. Uses the same mounting space as the Shure earlier boundary microphones. So it basically, if there are existing holes on the table, you can just place them on and then have the engine come back underneath. And it also supports third-party control strings as well. So if you want the button to do something other than just muting the microphone, and you want to pass on that control strings to a third-party controller, you can do that as well if you want. For example, a look at me feature. So that's something you can pass on, because that's what the product is designed. It can do that apart from just muting or unmuting. So the way you can interface with the microphone is either push to talk, push to mute, just a simple toggle function as to mute and mute, which I used just now. So this is basically an example of how the product looks like. So what you see is basically just the the top surface. The rest everything goes underneath the table. And the engine is basically connected. The engine below the bigger circle that you see, that's the hardware which is basically running the show, and that's what it gets connected to the PoE switch to connect over the network. So with all that I showed just now, and with the existing products, the Shure Designer, you now have the capability of having an amazing conferencing audio system planned for any conferencing space, whether it is small, medium, or large space. So you have the complete ecosystem now available to be planned by a single software. That is also very useful. You don't have to look at different interfaces. You don't have to look at different programming tools. There's just one software, Shure Designer, which can allow you to bring all this together even before the project site is ready, or even maybe you can also size it up based on what the designer tells you, that this much space is enough or this much hardware is enough to cover this much space. And with all the hardware in place, you also have the right mixing algorithm, the right DSP in place, and even an optimized DSP in place, so that you are able to have the right hardware, you're able to focus on the right hardware which is needed to capture the audience. But when it comes to mixing, now that the PC is more powerful, you can use the PC's resources, which are kind of left over after the soft codec, usage, so that those resources are actually enough to have good quality audio being processed by any of these input hardwares. So that's how you have both the planning and the mixing of audio can be done in a great way with these two software tools as well. So let's quickly look at what can be the different examples of Shure, an audio ecosystem from Shure, and how can they be used in different kind of room environment for AV conferencing, right? So first of all, when it comes to anything on the network, we have to ensure that we are not only giving good quality in terms of performance, and the performance ranges all the way from pickup, processing, output, and management. So that's where we have ensured that our network audio systems are covering all these points, wherein we are not only picking up great quality audio, we have put in the hardware in a way that we have designed it for speech. We have designed the mixing of audio, the processing of audio to sound the best when you're in a codec environment, and we have designed it in a way. We have designed the software in a way to put this together easily without needing an audio engineer in a conference room. So this is basically how the workflow has been designed or thought about by us to make it very easy for the IT end user or the IT deployment person in that space. Now, when it comes to IT, again, we need to also focus on So when we speak about IT, there are a few more points that come to our mind, or we get questions about is, is it compatible with what I have today? Is it going to be compatible with what I will have tomorrow? So that's what we have also focused on. We have made it compatible with hardware codec, which is very prevalent today. We have been seeing hard codecs all this while. But now we are seeing the shift of having the switch to soft codec environment. So we have made it compatible for both environments, whether it is a Cisco environment, a Zoom environment, or a Microsoft environment. So that's where basically the agnostic or the compatibility part goes in. Whether it is secured, whether it is manageable, that's where we have made all these hardwares and softwares Dante Domain Manager compatible or Dante Domain Manager ready, which allows you to use all the features that Dante Domain Manager in terms of role-based monitoring, control, and making the network more secure and in basically in the IT domains control. So those are the things that we have considered to make the system not only work good for audio or for good audio quality, but also robust on the network as per IT policies as well. And with the solutions that you have, you also have some you can have different package bundles in place. So let's look at some of those how those bundles can look, how you can create them, how you can imagine. It's basically you get a lot of room for creativity in terms of how audio can be put in the best way in different room scenarios. So let's look at what options can we get with the form factors that we saw today, and with the form factors we know that come from Shure since 2016. Okay, so let's take a small room environment wherein you can have a table microphone, the MXA 310, and for processing you basically don't need anything else. Probably just the IntelliMix room going into a patching with the codec, and if required, you can have a ceiling speaker also in place. And all this can go along with the Shure Designer. So you can have a small room being planned with that. A next scenario would be a medium space room, a slightly bigger room, wherein you can have the MXA 910, the ceiling array. Again, the inputs and outputs is the hardware that you need to worry about. That can be in the form of the ceiling array microphones or the ceiling speakers. DSP not really required, because the IMX room can do the job of DSP. And if it's a software, if it's a Zoom room, or if it's any other kind of a soft codec environment, you basically do not need a rack-based equipment, right? The only thing that will go into a rack would be a PoE switch. Other than that, you don't need a complete dedicated rack to be able to have your audio come together well. Compared to the traditional approach of having multiple cables going in, a mixer, an amplifier, DSP, a complete black box based rack can be completely avoided with the ecosystem that you're seeing right now. And they all can be easily put together by a single software which is designed. Another example can be even simpler, a more practical room with the new linear array microphone, either the 2 feet or a 4 feet. And you can still use the built-in processing. You may not even need the IntelliMix room in that situation, because the microphone itself for that small space is good enough to mix the audio coming in, or maybe it's just the default configuration that you need to do. And if required for the immediate interfacing with the microphone, it can be the mute or unmute button. So all that can still be programmed using the designer. And again, there is no need to look at different interfaces. There is just one interface, and you can bring this up together. It can be a hard codec environment, or it can be a simply soft codec environment. For very large rooms, we still recommend the 910s because of the way they are built. And if you have a hard codec, we still have the P300, the same processing capabilities, but P300 gives you the hardware interfacing for hard codec environments, let's say analog inputs going into the hard codecs like Cisco or Polycom. So the rest of the Shure ecosystem can remain the same, and it becomes an all-in-one audio solution coming in from one single brand, which makes it much easier to not only source but also program it together, because they all have been designed from the engineering team by the factory to all come together, identify each other, know each other natively, and then just work together. For some multi-purpose spaces or large spaces, the same concept can be applied. Large spaces these days I'm seeing are moving to soft codec environments as well. So multiple ceiling array microphones, multiple speakers, they all can be used for covering the audience, both for picking them up and letting them hear the far end. But when it comes to having all these channels processed, do you need external DSP? Maybe not, because the IntelliMix room can do up to 16 channels take up to 16 input channels over the Ante. So no cabling required, just one cable going in from each of these units to the network switch, and that's it. So there is ease of hardware there. There is ease of space. There is no space required, and then basically it is a very optimal solution when it comes to enabling a large space even for good audio. So the hardware products that I mentioned, they are going to be available later this year. So for those who are interested, to understand how much would they cost, these are some figures in front of you for the 2 feet and the 4 feet linear array microphones, the ceiling speakers, and the networking button. The IntelliMix room software DSP is available now. And it comes in different subscription models. So there is an 8-channel 3-year subscription. There is an 8-channel 5-year subscription. Same for the 16-channel version. There is a 16 and there is a 3-year and a 5-year subscription version available. So, like I said in the beginning of the session, this is a quick overview launch. But if you're interested to know more about these products, I'm happy to do a one-on-one session with you all. So if you're interested, click on the scan this QR code. You'll also be receiving after the session, once you've registered on the email that you've registered with, you'll be receiving the links to basically go and do that registration. It's a software tool that we're using called as Calendly. And just to give you a quick walkthrough of what you will see once you go to that link, or once you click on this QR code, is you'll see a portal like this, which is a Calendly portal, which gives you a calendar and gives the title of the session. The slots that I've kept is from the 22nd to the 26th of June. And depending on your choice, you can select which date, what time you want to book a slot, and confirm your details. And please ensure that you enter your professional email, your company email, so that we are able to track the request better. And as in the add guests section, you can add your colleagues' email addresses whom you think should be joining the session with you. If you're a team leader, add your team. And if you think your peers should be attending the same session, so that we are able to optimize the bandwidth for everyone. And once you put all the details about your and your team members' details, and you schedule that event, you will receive a confirmation on your email along with a Zoom link, which will basically take you, once that scheduled time comes, that Zoom meeting will begin, and then I'll be there to host you for those specific one-on-one sessions where we can do a lot of specific discussions about what this product does, how did you configure this. And how are you experiencing all this in this kind of a space? So basically, at this moment, this is something that we can do to understand all these solutions. In case if you have any other queries, if you want to know more about the solution or something else, or if there's any other query, please reach out to us at india@shure.com or at my address, which is panikar_devraj@shure.com. So these are the two addresses you can reach us at. By the way, I would also like to mention that in the coming days, we will be doing similar session like this in regional languages. Basically, I'll be doing in a couple of days a session again like this in Hindi, but there will be more sessions done by our partners, which will be in Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, and I'll be seen again in Malayalam. So I speak Malayalam from Kerala. So you will see these regional sessions also. So in case if your colleagues, whom you think would be happy to join those sessions, would learn more or gain more from these sessions, you will soon receive these details for these sessions in your emails once you have registered. So with that, I close this session right now. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope this was all that new ecosystem solution that you saw. You will soon be able to use in your upcoming projects. So thank you very much. Hope to see you soon on the one-on-one.